Welcome back to Just Like Yep, everybody. We're getting into it. Episode 3 of Euphoria. We are at Jules's loft in downtown LA, and Jules is painting, and Rue is doing this voiceover talking about how people thought they could get rich from these different times. Then we do a flashback where she's living with her roommate Vivian, that I guess met at art school. Vivian, I'm obsessed with. Vivian is very kind.
Yeah, love Vivian.
She is basically brings Jules into the fold. Jules is on her first paid-for date. They talked a little bit about this in the after show. They did a little bit more of like a glowy, dewy look for her for this, which is like not a normal look for Jules. So it sort of like makes her a bit more palatable to a wide type of men that she's about to meet, including Rick, who's a lawyer. He's 48, and we've all seen this guy. We know this guy. We've been on the Brown line with him as he goes to the Loop, getting off at Merchandise Mart. And he says the thing that every man says in this sort of situation, whether it's like they're on a dating app or they're this, I don't normally do this kind of thing. I'm like, this is the 30th time you've done that.
Thank you for sharing with me the warped view you have of yourself.
We find out that he's told, his therapist says that they have severe intimacy issues. He's never had a girlfriend because he gets claustrophobic in bed. And Jules' response to never, I thought was like just very funny.
I love getting to see more of Jules and what Jules has been up to, even if some of it is upsetting. But like, yeah, Hunter Schafer is just so like charming and lovely and just has so much range, and it's so amazing to see her in this role, even if the show is problematic.
In many ways. And I think also as a trans character, I think what we sort of see throughout the series, it's a lot of men putting how they feel about themselves onto her.
Oh,
she has
absolutely.
to carry this sort of like reflection of how they view themselves, how they view the world. It's allowing them to access a part of themselves that they don't want to be honest about. And so this is the one person that they're like allowing themselves to put all that onto.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot about gender and a lot about sexuality and a lot about what specifically cishet men don't want to confront about themselves outside of private situations like this. And there's a lot going on there and a lot to hold.
Rick slides over an envelope. We see lots of 100s. That is an envelope I would like to be receiving. And we find out he's into nylons and he just wants to lick her tights and jerk off. So sure. There could be worse.
I have to imagine he's so excited that it's happening that it's probably a very short amount of time, if you know what I mean.
1,000%. Yeah, he's blowing his wad, so to speak. It's a lot of cash. And so after the date, we're back at the loft. And again, I'm like, how much are these girls paying for this loft? Like, where is this is crazy.
It's an improbable space that does not exist in reality.
The more that, like, we get more angles of it, I'm like, is this an entire building? But anyways, we find out that Jules just has to see this guy twice a month, and it pays her rent.
Yes, there was an interesting interview that you sent me that I had also seen with Chloe, who plays Faye.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of talking about this question of, like, you could view this season of the show as, like, women, like, taking the power in their sexuality and, like, earning their coin from that. But Chloe actually said, and like this is pretty astute, she was like, it's also just like the failure of late stage capitalism that like women need to be turning to sex work, oldest profession in the world, because
Les Miserables.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Cut my hair off. Let me
I dreamed
cry.
a dream. It's like what we said last week, the tent poles of our economy now are AI, betting, and OnlyFans.
Yes, which we talked about a lot when we were doing industry as well. And so it's like, on the one hand, you can be like, that's so empowering that like women can like be using their bodies and their sexuality and like making a ton of money because like it is a wanted commodity in the marketplace. And then the other viewpoint of it is like, isn't it disappointing that this is where we're at?
And Vivian's like, yeah, girl, I told you so. And we start to meet more of the men. And also Vivian, I'm like, what is she sculpting? I'm like, I'm into this. I need to know a little bit more.
I like these like weird Medusa-ass clay things going on. I'm into it.
I know. I was like, do they know Robin Wright's lesbian friend from The Girlfriend? Are they familiar with each other? And then we meet this other finance guy. Jules is giving him a blowjob under the desk. And then we meet Ellis, who is the one that is currently bankrolling Jules' lifestyle. He's a plastic surgeon. And he's very creepy.
So creepy.
I don't like any of the vibes of him immediately. I looked him up. The actor is Sam Trammell. He was on True Blood. But immediately I'm getting bad vibes from him. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
no.
a man that has like such a specific POV about how he sculpts the world and views himself as God. I'm like, this is only going to go well for so long for Jules. And I'm nervous about where we're heading.
I am always very sus about men who work in the plastic surgery and aesthetics industry, specifically for women, because I'm like, there's something that feels really icky to me. I respect it. Like, do whatever you want to make yourself feel good. But when it's a man in that role and they're specifically working on women, and especially this character who's very clearly, like you said, kind of like playing God and sort of like really enjoys the power of being able to like manipulate women's bodies, like then we're going into sort of like, I don't know, body horror territory for me that I don't like.
And he gets to the point very quickly about Jules and her transition. Ellis is like, oh, 14, that's why you're poreless. You never went through puberty. Ugh. Arrest this man. Arrest this man. That is disgusting.
It's so fetishizing and weird.
And then it gets more into it, just asking if Jules' breasts are natural. And it's just like, they look near perfect. And Jules is like, near, excuse me, my breasts are perfect. My breasts are beautiful. If you're looking at my breasts, you should be happy that you're looking. Like any man who's criticizing a pair of breasts, walk it back. Just be grateful that you're in the presence of a pair of them, because you just as easily could not be.
Yeah, walk it back.
And this man says that anything can be improved. And then this no waiter has had greater timing in their life to interrupt this conversation. Like this poor man, he's probably had to do this with this man at this specific table.
Oh, yeah.
We had a guy like that when I worked at a restaurant in Chicago, and we would call him Match.com. And he would sit at the same table with different women, sometimes like 2 to 3 like times a week. And we would have to act like it was the first time we saw them every time. And we find out that his wife knows a bit about his preferences. And he makes this interesting comment. He's like, you marry the best parts of a person. Like when you're 23, that sounds really sad. Like the age that Jules is supposed to be at. But I think in your 30s and 40s, that makes sense to me.
This guy is also saying like, the best parts of me are not who's here right now. Because you're my, like, dirty, shameful secret, which is, like, very rude to Jules, first of all. But I don't think it's untrue in the sense that, like, in a healthy relationship, you accept the fact that, like, people aren't 100% perfect.
He asks, like, well, what do you tell your parents? Like, do you sell yourself? She's like, no, I tell them I go to art school, I pay. And, of course, they don't know about this. This I almost spit my drink out at. She lives off $750 a month in LA.
Well, that's what she tells her parents. She's doing, yeah.
Jules is on the phone with her dad, her sweet dad, who we love.
I know, I remember him. I love him.
Yeah, I was like talking about like, I don't need to go to art school to be an artist, or like, and I was like, oh God. And Vivian's listening to this phone call and they're like, warehouse. I don't know. It's like the building expands every time we see it.
I know. And I think we're supposed to take from that Vivian's like, I got Jules in.
I got her
too
down
deep
down
here.
Deep.
I do agree though that like you probably, like one of my hot takes is like you probably don't need a master's degree in whatever art it is you're doing. Just go do it. Don't pay more money to an institution.
And then we get this shot of Jules looking, and this just made me LOL because it made me think of the picture of, do you remember when they announced the cast of the live action Lion King, and there was the picture of Beyonce staring at the version of Nala as a lion?
Yes.
That was exactly what I thought with this shot.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very evocative shot,
Yeah.
especially like this is sort of marking like Jules deciding that like this is the new future path that she's going down.
Yeah, and she's got the wig cap on because we're about to meet the 50-inch wig for the first time. We find out Ellis is her only client, and, now she's so financially well off, she doesn't have to worry about making it as an artist. She can just do her art. And then this becomes worse and worse as it goes on. We see plastic wrap come out. I'm like, what is this for? He's wrapping up his doll.
I hate this. I know.
I'm trying to get this as fast as I can. And he says, I'm going to keep you forever because she's an object and not a human. And he kisses her through it. And then there's this like shot with like her hands. Like her hands are literally tied to the ceiling. And that's the intro to Euphoria.
She can't breathe in there. This like really upset me. I was getting really nauseous watching this because I was like, she can't breathe. I understand she's getting paid for this, but like this, I don't know. It just really, really upset me.
And our girl Rosalia is on the pole. We are back at Alamo Strip Club. We got men smacking lips in the audience.
I love that they let her wear the bedazzled neck brace. And I love that they took the time to show us that men's reactions to the bedazzled neck brace were like, this is weird, but I kind of like it.
Because ultimately, if men are going to see breasts, they don't care in what form they come in. They just want to see the breasts. No. But we see this giant snake, another very heavy-handed metaphor. We got a snake in the grass. And we find out this man is meeting the new kingpin, Rue. We've gone from drugs to weapons. And Rue is talking through all the guns, to which I said, LOL, this is about to be a lot of spoilers for the drama that I'm about to talk about right here. So, in the drama, the huge controversy this movie has been out in the last few weeks is that the whole thing is there's a whole thought experiment about where this table of 4 people, these 2 couples, they talk about what is the worst thing you've ever done. And I will argue Alana Haim's character, I think, is actually the worst of them. She left a kid locked in a building in the woods overnight, and there was an Amber Alert for him, and then she never admitted to doing that. And then she tries to act like she's a moral hierarchy over Zendaya's character, Emma. Emma reveals at dinner that she almost committed a school shooting in high school, but didn't go through with it. And then Robert Pattinson's character, Charlie, starts to lose his mind about that, and he can't see her the same way. And there's a lot of like interesting thoughts about it. I really loved it. It was a very fun theater watch that I can't recommend enough. But then he starts to see these images of her in his head of her like holding guns and like sexualizing them. And this is one of the shots in the movie of her holding guns. So I was like, that's crazy that she's sort of doing this in 2 different things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Zendaya's 3D printing guns? Sure.
Easy way to have a completely unlicensed, unregistered firearm is to just 3D print it.
And Bishop is watching over all of this. So we see that Bishop is overseeing everything Rue is doing. And we find out Alamo's very happy with Rue. And Rue's like, well, I want to keep working up here and then go legit. This sets off alarm bells with Bishop and Alamo. He's like, so you don't think what you're doing is legit? And Rue thinks like she's on the same page with them. And then Alamo flips it and they're like, and Bishop, and they say like, do you have a moral problem with what you're doing? And Rue, of course, wants everything to be cool. Rue doesn't want to rock the boat. Rue just wants to keep the money coming in. Rue is happy with the situation. I'm cool. I don't want to actually say that I'm nervous about anything because Rue just wants this situation to stay the same. And Alamo licks his knife and lets her know that power is the only thing that matters. So what are you complaining about, Little Miss Legit? And then, as all conversations are interrupted, a giant pig runs through the strip club. Causing a muckus. And I'm not talking about like a man running into the strip club, and a literal pig this time.
Yeah.
Alamo pulls out this gold gun. This poor pig. That's the end of Wilbur. That's a wrap on Wilbur. Devastating. This poor girl. And they go outside and inspect the pig. Alamo thinks they've gone too far, but I did love this. They're like, actually, no, technically they're tit for tat, which I was like, he is right. And then they're like, well, what can we do to like break her heart? What's something to like really get back and like get at her? And we immediately cut to Lori on her porch with beautiful Paladin, my perfect little baby guy, which is what I imagine all mothers say to their sons. And Rue lets them know Paladin is the center of Lori's universe. And this I got so upset about already because we know what's going to happen. This is Chekhov's parrot. Paladin's about to die. And we cut back to Jules just looks so glamorous, laying in bed, smoking a cig. They're talking about the wedding. We find out Rue invited Jules as her +1. And she's walking around her loft, and this bathroom is like a tray of like drugs. So she's like clocking that. And Jules is trying to push back on the wedding, saying like, I haven't seen Nate or Cassie since we graduated. Again, this is so hot. Rue pulls out a wad of cash and like makes eye contact. It's like, I'm your sugar daddy now. And then puts it down Jules's top. I was like, this is very hot for me. I don't like. I gotta unpack it.
I was wondering how Jules feels about that, though, because, like,
of course, yeah.
If there's a separation of, like, well, that's, like, the other part of my life that I, like, don't necessarily want
don't want to
Rue
mix church
to be
and
involved
state.
in. Exactly, yeah. The way Ellis views her, she doesn't want, like, Rue to view her that way. I was wondering if there was going to be a moment of that at some point.
Well, we'll see if that comes back, because we don't really address it the rest of the episode. We just kind of like leave that here. And we go to the most insane shot angle. Our girl Maddy comes in with a rosary tastefully above her butt crack, which if you watch the after show, they talked about how she's had crosses and rosaries every season in her wardrobe. She just looks incredible. But again, you couldn't pay me enough money to attend a wedding of any of my exes.
Nope.
No way, no thank you. I have enough peace in my life.
It wouldn't be wise for me to be invited, because I would try to find the bride and be like, do you realize what you're getting into?
Receipts, proof, timelines,
screenshots, fucking everything.
And then we get this like insane LOL shot of their engagement. Like looks like every couple that you see on Instagram.
Also, that fucking Canva ass font that's on everybody's like wedding decorations. Yeah,
it's so crazy. Nate's not doing well. He's puking in the bathroom. Cassie's also not doing well. She didn't see Nate the night before. Something's wrong. We find out from her friend from the neighborhood that Fred had diarrhea the whole week of the wedding, and like an MVP, Sue says, you think diarrhea is bad? Try getting a divorce. God, I want to be Sue's. And Nate's mom is like, I can't believe Maddy had the nerve to show her face. And then Cal is like, I saw a little more than her face, which I had the feeling, and they sort of confirmed this in the after show, it feels like a lot of Eric Dane's lines were just improvised. They said he improvised a lot, and I was like, you can kind of feel that. And then, okay, another gravity-defying dress. I have some more angles of it later. That from here, I was like, it's not until she's sitting down I'm realizing that the other side of the dress is hanging off her nipple. I just don't understand. Wild dress to wear, period, but a wild dress to wear to a wedding. But I did love that the two complement each other, because it's
they're matching.
They're matching. Rue is the sugar daddy. Rue is like, I'm Daddy Rue. And Maddy's like, I didn't expect to see you here. And his mom is like, who's that? And Cal, of course, knows who it is. He's like, I think it's an old friend of Nate's. And Jules, of course, makes eye contact. Naz is calling Nate on his wedding day. Uh-oh, that can't be good. Bad. That's bad. Nate's now gone from puking to breathing in a paper bag. We got a gorgeous harpist playing Pachelbel's canon. I was like, what are these musicians thinking of this wedding?
Oh my God.
I got really upset that there's a child cast in this. What parent let their child be on Euphoria? That's something I was maybe the most upset about this episode. Because I was like, did a child really consent to being on Euphoria? I don't know. And we get another angle of the flowers, and they talked a lot about this in the after show as well, which briefly we saw in the description before, that shrimp cocktail, and they said they made it based off all the pinks in a bunch of shrimp, and that's like what we see here, which is so crazy to me. Like, it's such a
funny sight gag after this whole back and forth with the flowers with Cassie and Nate, to like see them and be like, oh my God, it is $50,000 worth of flour.
We see our girl Lexi. She's in some hideous bridesmaid's dress that her sister put her in, because of course Cassie is not gonna have bridesmaids who look hotter than her.
Also, the fact that her bridesmaids are Lexi, her neighbor who clearly hates her.
Yeah.
And then some other woman. Cassie has no actual friends.
No, everyone is like currency for her.
Yeah.
In whatever way. But here they are at the altar, and now,
oh my God,
the worst talk anyone could ever give you as you're going down the aisle. Suze is giving us emotional whiplash, and this is of course the face you have when this is being said to you. And I had to include this because my guess is this is the only day that Sydney and Zendaya are on the set together.
Oh, because they don't like each other.
Because Sydney was flirting with Tom Holland on set.
Got it. Yeah, and Zendaya is not in the after show at all.
This would make sense to me that, like, they probably got, like, a wide shot.
She might not even be there.
Yeah. And then Sydney has one single tear. We wrap up our giant walk down the plank with Sue saying, you're my masterpiece. I was like, okay, you're going to say all of this other insane stuff, but then wrap it up in a bow. Okay, sure, Suze.
It was an incredible performance. The monologue of a lifetime, like up there with like, I don't know, Elaine Stritch, like Kathleen Turner. Like it was perfect.
And we see this like this description of like the way that they shoot this, that like, of course we know Jacob Elordi is a giant, he's like 6'6", but they're like specifically shooting this to show like he is above her, and that like the distortion of that in the angle. And they say I do. Maddy's face is my face. Everyone's got a weird look on their face, like, should we really go through with this? And I gotta talk about this man's hands. The way that he is palming her face like that is like, I know. Michelangelo could never. Like, that's like the David. That's David. That's like, I couldn't imagine that, like, palming my face like that. Like,
It's a large hand.
And then they talked about in the after show, this train is 16 feet long. Everyone's happy. We're back at Lori's little house on the prairie. We find out Rue is coming for a delivery, but the brothers are fighting about Faye. And we find out Rue's doing a pickup. And they're like, that's not weird to you. And she's like, well, no, he's got to keep his women doped up. He's running a whorehouse. And we find out Lori misses Rue, which I was like, wow, that's not a woman I would expect to miss anyone other than her birds. Rue gets a call. Rue's got to go on a drug run. And Jules obviously is upset because this is a wedding that she shouldn't be at because, you know, she slept with the groom's father, had a dalliance with the son. And Maddy, sweet Maddy's like, you can be my plus one. Love. And we get this nice little shot of them like all just like being together. I was like, wow, this is the happiest we're probably going to see them the rest of the season.
It was very evocative of the show Girls, of like, they're always having a problem with each other, and yet you get these sweet moments of like, these girls do love each other.
And Rue says something seemed off. I was like, you think? You're cut between two drug lords. Something's off. Maddy is threatening to go say hi to them. And Lexi's like, wait a few weeks. Being a good sister, saying like, not right now. And BB makes her grand entrance. BB's pregnant. She's showing it off. Like, this is another crazy outfit at this wedding. This is not a real place that we were in. These are not real people. Cal does his speech, says actually very nice things, but Nate was ready to have him pulled. And we have the interaction we're waiting for. Cal and Jules at the bar. She's like, remember me? And he's like, how could I forget? You know, it's not every day I sleep with one of my son's high school classmates. And she asks about the video. He's like, you know, it wasn't for distributing. I just wanted to jerk off to it, which I was like, is that supposed to make me feel better?
Yeah.
And we find out Jules' video never made it to the police, and we think that someone must have been looking out for her. Maybe Nate. We find out he's a registered sex offender, and this I thought was like just kind of funny line, like, you're one of those fucking red dots, and she like pokes at him about it. They have like this interaction is a lot more lighthearted than you would think.
It's such a weird exchange, and like, there's part of me that's like, Euphoria, why are you trying to like downplay how like bad this was?
It was really bad.
This to me was like the thing that made me the most upset and uncomfortable during the first season of Euphoria. And it's weird to like see it being downplayed. But that being said, like, this is kind of what predatory people do to people that they hurt. Like, years later, they try and sort of downplay the whole thing of like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, you know, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
And he gets into like, he can't drive by school, and just like how his life is a lot more complicated now as a registered sex offender. And she's like, I can't believe that you talked to Nate. And he has a very astute point that he's like, it's easier than being alone and angry, which I was like, that's like, I don't know, a very evolved way for this character to think, to be like, I can be able to talk to my son who turned me in and like have a relationship. And we see Nate make eye contact with her during this, and it's like he's watching this whole interaction because Nate had his, you know, time with Jules as well. Mm-hmm. Faz is calling from prison. I'm like still upset about this plot line and that we're trying to keep these characters alive. I really don't like it. And Sue's having the time of her life with like this James Brown impersonator that they hired for the wedding. Yeah. Doing everything I would expect her to do on the wedding day. We cut back to them. And he's like, I just wish everyone didn't think I was a pedo. And she's like, well, you do cut it a little close. And he's like, you know, youth is beautiful. Who wants to fuck an old person? And Jules is like, you know, I guess I do. I like the perspective. And he's like, oh, God, youthful idealism, because he's seen it from the other side. And he's like, you know, high school's the best years of our lives. And Jules speaks for most of us. I couldn't disagree more. Because if high school are the best years of your life, babe, life is long. Nate's mom gives a speech. And she talks about... and what you never want to hear from mother of the groom, you know, as a mom of a boy, then we know exactly how the speech is about to go. She's like, you know, they show up with people you don't like, and that happened. We get the angle of Maddy.
She's like, sometimes you have to bite your tongue because they date people who are just not right for them. And she like looks at Maddy, and it's like very mean. It's incredibly mean. Like, fuck you, lady. Like, what the hell?
And get over yourself. You can't marry your son.
Yeah, seriously.
And then we get this sad look of just like Maddy like longingly looking at all of this and just like the regret and the pain that she's feeling in this whole thing. Makes eye contact with Cassie, and they kind of have a moment together that I like appreciated without dialogue, that the two of them are connecting.
Yeah.
That maybe they're going to overcome it, but probably not.
Okay, so Nas shows up, which is fucking crazy, at the wedding. It's like something out of like The Godfather or Sopranos, and is like, what is with this lavish ass wedding when you owe people money? Meanwhile, neighbor friend who already fucking hates Cassie and is a horrible friend, she clocks what's going on, bolts out of her chair to go find her husband. Nas is going on and on and on about like, there's lobster, there's caviar, like what the hell? You owe me so much money, and yet this wedding looks so expensive. Cassie is like, who are you? Did I accidentally not send you an invitation? And he was like, yeah, I'm Nas. I used to be your husband's friend. Now I'm his worst fucking nightmare. And meanwhile, the neighbors are talking about the fact that they gave Nate a lot of money to invest in his property. Lexi's clocking this, like something weird's going on. And then we get this amazing shot. Some of the cinematography in this episode is like out of this world, I have to say. She looks so scary and so horrifying. It's such an evocative shot. Like, what a weird question to ask me on the best day of my life. Cassie knows, like, something's very, very, very wrong. She tries to talk to Nate about it, and the moment he says, just remember your steps, and I realize that they're about to do a dance, I was like, no, not one of these. Of course they are.
Because she wants to be an Instagram bride. So of course I was like, yeah, of course they're gonna do a crazy choreographed dance.
Oh my God. I really actually liked this. I thought it was really, really funny, and also worked in a lot of like on a lot of weird levels. Like, they're in the middle of this dance and Cassie's like, I don't want to downsize. Like, Nate's like, it's fine, we'll just have to downsize a little bit to pay him back. She's like, I don't want to do it. Then they immediately go to this like very sexual part of the dance where she's like, you know, like lowering herself down like he's a pole, and everybody's cheering and whistling. Maddy is having a completely different experience. This is why I actually really like this. They're in the middle of an argument, like a very serious argument. On the outside, it looks like they're having fun and doing a dance. And also the third thing happening is on the outside to Maddy, it looks like they are so in love and having the time of their lives and having everything that she could never have with Nate.
Well, it's that, and like, and I think this part of weddings, I think like depending on where you're at, like when these dances happen, it causes this sort of like existential reckoning. And then it's like, if you're single, like watching, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, I have to watch another one of these. And I can't imagine if you're at your ex's wedding watching that dance of like, that could have been us. And it just causes like, I would be calling my therapist immediately.
Weddings are full of emotional landmines. Like, you've had a drink or two, you're in like one of the most beautiful settings, open bar, everything's been curated to look incredible. So like, you're in a space that exists outside of reality. It's like almost like an amusement park. If you're at a wedding with like somebody that you're like not that serious about, but like you're watching people like do their vows. I don't know. There's just a lot.
Or you're questioning the state of your relationship, and you're like, exactly. Should I? Yeah. There's just
Meanwhile, these two dancing their hearts out. Nate is like all smiles, and Cassie looks like she's about to burst into tears. They're dancing to the James Brown impersonator is actually singing She Wears My Ring, which is an Elvis Presley song, which is definitely a nod to Jacob Elordi playing Elvis Presley in Priscilla. Cassie is in the middle of this dance about to cry. I don't want to be poor.
I know. It made me think of Parker Posey on White Lotus. Like, I was to live and uncomfortable. And I was like, those two spiritually are connected.
Maddy is still gazing on and just having like this horrible existential moment because she thinks the two are having the time of their lives on the dance floor. But Cassie is like clearly suffering. Also, like, her boobs are popping out of that corset. Of course it ends with this like crazy lift. I'm just imagining like all the rehearsals Nate and Cassie had to go to for this. Like, meanwhile, while Nate's having like a fucking breakdown about owing this mobster all this money. Back in the minivan, Rue is still on the phone with Fez, and she finds out that Fez wants to try and escape prison by doing parkour. I don't know. It's pretty funny, but also, yeah, it's weird that we're keeping Fez alive. But she does get off the phone with him and is like, hey, be safe. I love you. And there was something pretty evocative about that. It sort of felt like Zendaya speaking to Angus Cloud in The Beyond. Yeah. We're at the point in the wedding where everyone is drunk. The band is, of course, covering Lil Jon. And she's singing until the sweat dropped down my balls.
Which I'm sure you have a shot of the crowd in a second, but I was like, this is a millennial siren song. Like, we could all be asleep and it would awaken us like zombies to the dance floor to shake our little asses on the floor like we did in the 8th grade when this song came out.
It's
so true. Like,
again, this is the point in the wedding where even if you're having a terrible time and you don't want to be there anymore, you've had a couple drinks and this song comes on and you're like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's dance to the song with people I haven't seen in years and probably won't ever see again.
Let's do it.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, Nate is trying to explain to his neighbor friend who invested why the project has been halted, why he has no money, and he mentions a white fritillary, which Jacob Elordi brought up this word in a Fallon interview when this season was premiering, and he was like being very secretive about the season. He's like, I can't say anything, but I will say white fritillary. And of course, Jimmy Fallon's like, I don't even know what that means. It is apparently an endangered flower. I did look this up. It is a real endangered flower in California. Oh. According to Nate, who knows if this story is true, they found some white fritillaries on the land that he was trying to build on, and now they're trying to find a way to safely relocate them because they are an endangered flower. Meanwhile, Cassie's having the other half of this conversation, and her friend is like, this is what was going on with your little porn site. I get it. You guys have no money. So he's been pimping his wife out for wedding decorations. And I love this. Cassie's drunk and is like, no, bitch. I did that.
Yeah.
I love it. These two fucking hate each other. And of course, she's her bridesmaid. Cassie only has friends who are horrible to her, to be honest. I mean, I know she and Maddy were very close, but also Cassie and Maddy were awful to each other. Cassie does not know how to have a friend who is nice to her. This guy is like, are you bullshitting me? I can't tell if you're bullshitting me about this fucking flower. Meanwhile, like, we hear what actually happened. It's not just that they gave them a lot of money. It was their kids' college funds.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Dum-dums. You dum-dums.
Actually, you deserve that.
You guys are fucking stupid.
Also, like, there's college isn't going to exist by the time your kids go to college. So
seriously. And I love this. Cassie's like, and why is that my fucking problem?
Say that. Actually, I'm on her side.
I am too. It's not my fault that your husband's an idiot and like fell for Nate's charms. Like, come on. And I love this. Nate knows exactly how to play this guy. He's like, let me tell you what to do. Let me tell you how to take charge in your house and how to be fucking cool. Tell your wife to shut the fuck up.
I'll say also, this is the most Nate we've seen this whole episode.
Yes. He's been hiding.
Yeah, because I was like, when is he coming out in all of this? He just feels very weak, very, like, it's interesting.
Yeah, he's been hiding. And, of course, he fully convinces him, and he's like, say it with me, fuck that flower. And this guy is now on his side and is totally fine with it and is not going to ask any more questions about where the fuck his kid's college money is. Meanwhile, Rue and Bishop have arrived at Lori's. There's a very funny moment where whichever Wayne this guy is like, hey, give me your gun. And Bishop, this entire scene is like so fucking badass and like is doing a lot to like fuck with their heads. And like at first you're like, what's he doing? And it turns out he's just like hanging his jacket on the gun while he gets his gun out. And it's just like a very, very funny, very powerful moment. Nate and Jules find each other and Nate's like, you're the last person I expected to be here. They're sharing a cigarette. It's like weirdly intimate. And Jules is like, I was like, Jules, you're wrong for this. I know you and Maddy aren't that close anymore, but don't tell Nate that Maddy got emotional. That's against girl code. Tell him that she had a hot date and had to leave. Like, this is, don't say that.
Or it's Jules knowing that there's more between them, and it's like, she's stoking the fire. I think this scene is just like a lot of subtext. Like, I think like there's not
so much.
It's all like in between the actual dialogue. Like, you can feel of like what they already, because Jules did fall in love with him through those text messages.
Yes, correct. Yeah, this is a very, very loaded scene, and these two play it really, really well. Yeah, he gives her a very meaningful look, like, you love who you love. I mean, these two did fall in love on the internet, which, as someone who experienced that via AIM, it can happen.
And someone who's done it on dating apps, it can happen. But also when Jacob Elordi said that, I was like, you're saying that to me. You love me. You love me. You don't love Kendall Jenner or Olivia Jade. You love me, Jacob Elordi.
You love me. Yeah, so it's a very, like, brief scene, but it's very poignant, very loaded, incredible acting from the two of them. We are back at this meth factory headquarters. Yeah. And we find out that Bishop is saying, like, the reason that they're both there is Alamo still wants to buy from Lori because her prices are good, but now there has to be a level of quality control that there wasn't before.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Faye gets sent down to the basement. Rue is like back at her old summer camp is like, wait, Faye's allowed in the basement now? Which I like that Rue is clocking this because these two briefly had a moment before Rue left Lori's where she was like, maybe we can find a way to get the key to the safe. And she's clocking maybe that Faye is still working on that, like behind the scenes. It appears like Faye really is into this guy, but
we don't know.
Meanwhile, we see Bishop is very enamored with Paladin, obviously, as a viewer. Dramatic irony has let us know that he probably has other reasons for being enamored with Paladin, even though Paladin is a beautiful cockatiel, beautiful boy. Lori has a moment where her heart melts a little bit because she's like, wait, do you also like animals?
I know. I wrote down, I was like, these two feel like very neurodivergent people, like finding themselves each other. Actually, this could be love on the spectrum in another...
in another life. I know.
They could be raising birds together.
Agreed. Whether or not Bishop's telling the truth, but he says he loves them. Meanwhile, Faye comes back with the drug testing kits and she's making out with Wayne 1. And he's, of course, staring right at his, I think, brother. It's so nasty. I hate it.
It's meth challengers is like what this is. Like, it's literally the shot of them in the hotel when she's
meth head challengers. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. We're back at the wedding, and we're at that phase of the night where everybody's demons start to reemerge because their buzz is wearing off. And Lexi's saying, like, I don't know if I believe in marriage, which makes sense. Her parents' marriage seemed like it was awful. But she says, like, someone would buy me for, like, a parcel of land and some healthy cows, which makes Jules realize that Lexi is a virgin. And Lexi, of course, OCD girl after my own heart, is like, it's better being a virgin than having herpes.
I will say the thing that, like, I'm missing for her character in this wedding is, like, as the sibling, everyone coming up to her being like, so... when are you getting married? When is that happening for you? Like that piece of like that's always the other side of that.
So Cassie is drunk and she out of her mind heads over to where Nate is sitting. She's got a fresh bottle of champagne and is finally realizing what's going on here. And it's that Nate has been putting all this pressure on her to be like, you know, little Sally homemaker. She's like, you want me to be the perfect housewife, but you're fucking lying. Like, you want me to, like, cook you dinner. And I love this. She says, suck your cock. And Nate's brother is like, hey, people can hear you, Cassie. And it's like, we're past that point. Shut up. And she goes right in for it. And she's like, you're not a man. You want me to be a happy little housewife, but you're not the man. The man is supposed to provide, and you are not providing. In fact, you have no money. We're broke now because of you. And all you do is lie. You're conning all of our neighbors. She says this very loudly. And I'm like wondering, are we hearing this? Are we taking this in? Like, what's table 15? What are they absorbing from this? And she is trying to uncork this champagne and is just screaming, you lie, you lie, you lie, you lie. And then it sort of like looks, the way she has it between her legs, it sort of looks like she ends up, you know, like jizzing in his eye because the cork pops off.
And this made me think of, there was a guy on Love Island 6 years ago. He lost his sight in his eye because of the champagne cork.
Are you serious?
Yes. Because I remember this was on a podcast like I listened to, and I had to like look it up. Because he got hit. He was on holiday in Ibiza and had to go under surgery immediately, and he lost all vision in his right eye because the cork split in half in his eye.
Oh my God! So Nate gets hit in the eye, and then I love this. His like idiot brother, who of course has no idea what the fuck's going on, ends up saying a metaphor for the entire situation of like, it's a pressure thing. The cork just popped off because it's a pressure thing. Salient point, that's literally what's happening right now, my guy. Oh my God, this made me lose my mind. They're not actual sparklers, but like little like pom-pom sparkler things. It's always funny to me when you're at a wedding and you're just like trying to enjoy yourself, and then like some wedding coordinator who's had like one hard-boiled egg and like 8 Alani energy drinks goes over to you and is like, everybody needs to go outside right now, and here's a sparkler, and I'm gonna like light a torch on fire, pass it down the lane, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And of course they get into a giant fucking Hummer. We get some like very like Tarantino ass shots inside the limo. Look at that like giant Home Depot skeleton of a man. And she's like, this was the worst day of my life. Yeah, I bet it was. Meanwhile, Nate is still doing his dance to try and change her mind. And he's like, I got us into this, but I'm gonna get us out of it. And I want to be a good husband and someday maybe a father. And fucking Cassie, she breaks. He manages to break through. The fatherhood thing really manages to break through. Meanwhile, Maddy is heading home, and we see a little bit more of the area around where she lives, and it seems like it's kind of like a sketchy area. She has no idea what's going on between Cassie and Nate and is just living in her own world of like, I'm so sad, I'm going back alone to my house. And it's like, girl, you dodged such a bullet. Yeah. You don't even know. Bishop has put in some like poison Alka-Seltzer into Paladin's water dish. Lori notices that he's very close to Paladin's cage and is like, what are you doing? Also, look at this beautiful bird. He's continuing to butter Lori up and is like, did you name this bird after Richard Boone, who was an actor who played a character named Paladin in a Western? He's going for his hip, and they're like, oh no, he had another gun on him. And he just pulls out a fat stack of cash, sends it flying through the air, does a little finger gunshot to it, and then blows it out. It's just a very badass scene. Again, I'm obsessed with this character of Bishop. I love this character. I want to know more about this character. We can maybe just make the whole show about this character. He gives a little wink. Oh God. These fucking doomed Orpheus and Eurydice show up in the underworld.
Giving them too much credit.
Yeah, you're probably right. They show up in hell, and Nas is of course there, because of course he is. And then starts a sequence of things happening that made me want to throw up. Obviously, some guy who's working with Nas starts beating the shit out of Nate. He also pushes Cassie down, and she bonks her face right on the floor, and her nose starts bleeding. And it's funny because like Nate is getting the shit beat out of him, but Cassie is like, my nose, like very Marsha Brady.
In the after show, they said originally she was going to fight back, but then they changed it so it's all happening behind her. So it's like more comical.
This is actually like that was a good decision. This actually ends up being very, very funny. This sent me over the edge. Nas is just on the couch, like having a snack, and he was like, I'm sorry, but the guy just doesn't want to listen to reason, and Cassie agrees with him.
I was gonna say, also him eating, that reminded me, she said, like, he can't even afford food, and that goes back to someone in our comments talked about the last episode about when I was asking about throwing away the food. It was like, because Nate doesn't want to get rid of the food because they have no money.
Yeah.
Which was like an important, that was a really good observation that I think
that was.
Catch.
It was very astute. But yeah, I just love this. Like, Cassie's one friend in the world right now who she can actually have an honest conversation about how much Nate pisses her off is this guy.
It's nice.
It's so funny. And she's like, Nate's continuing to have the shit beat out of him. And she was like, what is happening right now? I mean, here's the thing. Sydney Sweeney, you're problematic, but the comedic acting... You're doing a good job in this scene. I got to give it up for that. Nate's screaming, please, please, please. Nas is pulling out a knife, and we're like, oh God, it's about to get so much worse. Nate is like begging for more time. He's like, oh, you mean like a honeymoon period? Sorry, babe, that's over. I'm not showing what happens, but he gets his pinky toe cut off, and it's, oh God. If you watch the after show, like the props and the special effects in this, like go off, like incredible. I wanted to throw up. It looked very real. Nas makes the very salient point of like, you're going to inherit this man's debt if he doesn't get his shit together. So like, you're going to be next. Jules is back at her apartment, and we see that her boyfriend and sugar daddy, he's back. Jules immediately like puts on more makeup and like goes to find him in the bathroom. Rue is driving, and gets stopped by the police while she is listening to her Bible on tape. Behold, the bush was burning with fire, like, as, like, the car that's following her, like, is shining its headlights. Rue has her biblical moment. Paladin is taking a sip out of his water dish. I'm so sad. And it turns out Rue is getting stopped by the DEA. I did have a moment where I was like, is this maybe, like, a fake DEA agent that, like, Lori and the Waynes sent? But it does seem like it's the real DEA. It seems like we're headed toward questioning and, like, Rue getting into some, like, actual trouble with the law. Could have been Alamo's doing, because Rue is sort of showing that, like, maybe the whole legit thing seemed to really piss Alamo off, and, like, the pig comment pissed him off enough to, like, still be at war with Lori. So, like, I don't know. I don't know who sent this DEA agent, but something's going on with that. And the last shot we see is Paladin falls off his perch, and that is the end of the episode.
I Hunger Games salute Paladin. You didn't deserve this. You didn't deserve to go out like this. You didn't deserve to be a casualty of warfare. But I
know. It's true.
You were the
bird.
cockatiel in the drug den instead of the canary in the coal mine. It's
Yeah, well said. Overall, I do think the episodes are getting better and better with each episode. I'm trying to keep an open mind. The show is ridiculous. We should not have had a third season. We know that. But we have it, and we're analyzing it. And there was a lot in this episode that made me want to throw up, from Jules getting saran wrapped to Nate getting his toe cut off. Like, I don't...
A lot of shock value.
Yes. I know that, like, clearly the, production team is leaning into borrowing from Westerns and borrowing a lot from Tarantino. But, like, one of the things I hate most about Tarantino is the gratuitous violence. But whatever. So there's a lot of that in this episode that I didn't love, but there was a lot that worked for me. What are your final thoughts?
If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And that's how I feel a lot about this show.
Well, thank you for joining us. We will be back, obviously, next week, recapping episode 4 of season 3 of Euphoria. So check that out. We also have a lot of other tasty little recaps available on our channel. We are still doing original series favorite episodes with guests of Sex and the City. That's been so fun. Please check those out. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us in the comments, chatting it up with you. So let us know what you thought. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.